Hey y'all. Hey, I just had to get myself started with a little musical interlude. That was music from my good friend. If you were here a couple of weeks ago, had an opportunity to meet Kimo Cornwell, the keyboard player for the infamous band, legendary really, Hiroshima. He was on the show. We reminisced a lot. And we played his music, and I was so happy to have him here. So I want to take some time to say hello to everyone. Hello, Sharon Sight. Oh, and Electra Storm is the one who got the CD. Yeah, finally, or at last. Hello, Electra. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Nenny. Hello, Jaconda. Hello, Cardamancy. Hello, Doreen. Hello, I think Clarence was here. I seemed to see him earlier. I don't know if he left us or what. Maybe he didn't want to hear the music. It just got on his nerves or something. But I did think Clarence was here for a moment. Anyway, hello, Clarence. Hope you decide to come back with us tonight as we are. Oh, hi, J-Lo. As we are preparing to have some fun tonight, I am going to read the Testicular Bill of Rights. This was introduced. Actually, the Atlanta House, a woman by the name of Dar'Shun Kendrick, who is a Democrat from Lithonia, wrote the Testicular Bill of Rights in response to Georgia wanting to pass a heartbeat bill. Now, I don't know if it ever passed here, because once it was out that's what Kemp and all the and the male, I think there was one woman who was down with it, but I mean, the rest of them were men who probably don't have enough meat to season greens and probably can't even see their shit if they're not standing in the mirror. Okay, so anyway, they're the ones that wanted to put forth this heartbeat bill. It caused quite a stir here because there's so much production and filmmaking here in Atlanta that some production companies left, and some people I think it was probably Stacey Abrams urging that some did not leave because it employs so many people. But there was also a threat that if you pass this law, we will take our business somewhere else. So I'm not sure if it's in law in our state, but we know that in Texas, Abbott, who ain't getting none no way, has signed off on it, claiming that it'll stop rape. He's an idiot. You have to be raped, and you don't know you're being raped until you're being raped. And putting a heartbeat bill in place is not going to stop that. What an idiot. You can't even defend that shit with any kind of intelligence, Also, I think the Supreme Court is going to be hearing the Mississippi case, because they're attempting to do it. I'm sure Tennessee and some of these other southern states full of the good old Christians, the good old pro-lifers who are not pro-life. They are actually anti-abortion. They don't give a shit about the baby after it's born. If the mother needs help of any kind and has to go to social services, she becomes a burden on the system. So they don't care at all about the baby. They care about it while it's in the womb. Once it gets here and it's a reality, then, all of that shit changes, But anyway, she introduced this as in response to this bill. I think it was HB 481 here in Georgia. Now, she knew it didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell to get passed. Okay, she knew that, and I think she might have submitted it too late anyway. But I got such a kick out of it because it was just funny to me. Now, what I want us to do is to have some fun with it. As I read the Testicular Bill of Rights, I want all of you to think about what you would add to this, and I'm going to send them to Representative Kendrick. I think she'll get a kick out of it, and perhaps at some point she'll come on and have a chat with us. She's quite a firebrand. Hey, Linda, thank you for coming on. All right, let me just read a little bit. This was in Rolling Stone. Let me just read a little bit of the article. After Georgia's House passed a controversial, After Georgia's House passed a controversial heartbeat abortion bill, a representative from Lithonia is proposing legislation that would seek to regulate a man's reproductive rights. Representative Dar'Shun Kendrick tweeted out a screenshot Monday of an email to legislative staff introducing her Testicular Bill of Rights legislative package. You want some regulations on bodies and choice, she tweeted. Done. Now, before I go into this, when our troops left Afghanistan, many people were very concerned about how the women and the girls there would be treated, because they're on, with the Taliban, and they're under Sharia law, which is very strict and antiquated and male dominated. But I would suggest that we here in America need to be concerned. Women here don't have agency over their bodies. Men can get on their insurance. They can get they can get Viagra, they can get Cialis, they can get dick pumps, they can get anything that's going to let them get a hard on. And yet we can't get birth control on our insurance. There was a company here called Hobby Lobby who went to court about providing health insurance to any woman that was going to take birth control or wanted to get an abortion. I mean, really, and they actually won that case. And we see what happened with the Supreme Court now that we have the Stepford wife handmaid and the frat boy and alleged rapist Kavanaugh. And it is alleged by Christine Blasey Ford. This is for entertainment purposes only, and I'm offering up my opinions only. You don't have to agree, but I stand by what I say. Unless you can give me another point of view, I'll consider all of it. At any rate, we have him. We have the shoeshine boy, Clarence Thomas, Alito, and Roberts, who think that because a few people could vote, that few black people and now people of color could vote, that there's no more racism in the country, or it's not as racist as it used to be. Those people. But we do have some dynamic liberal judges, some women there. We have Kagan, who has been writing blistering. When she gets ready to crack on him, she writes some blistering stuff, and I can see the face of the other lady, and in a moment I'm going to get it. I haven't been drinking or anything. I wish I did have a drink, because This is my birthday month. Next Saturday, as a matter of fact, is my birthday, and I'm going to have a guest on. I'm going to have Benny Rietveld from Carlos from Santana's band. He's been the bass player with Santana for a number of years, and I may try to pull in some other friends. I'm hoping that Adrian will come on, and we can have some fun with the cards, and just have a bit of a light moment and a party. But anyway, on to this. This is what she wrote for men. This is the email. According to the email, the bill would seek to 1, require a man to get permission from their sex partner before they are able to obtain a prescription for Viagra or any other erectile dysfunction medication. 2, ban vasectomy procedures in Georgia with punitive measures that are listed in HB 481. Now, I'm going to have to go to HB 481 to find that. 3, make it an aggravated assault crime for men to have sex without a condom. 4, require DNA testing when a woman is 6 weeks and 1 and a day to determine the father of the child, who will immediately start paying child support. And 5, require a 24-hour waiting period for men to purchase any porn or sex toys in Georgia. Kendrick told Rolling Stone she's aware that her measure has little chance of passing. It's already passed the deadline for submitting new legislation, but she said it is meant to call attention to the absurd double standard that women are being held to. Now, this angered a lot of people, men especially. There was, when she tweeted it out, there were a lot of comments, and the ones that didn't like it the most were, of course, men. Now, we do have freedom. We can get an education. We can go work at jobs. Of course, if we have a degree and the same amount of talent that a man has, women aren't paid as much as men. And if you're a Black woman or a Black man, you're paid even less than white men get. So I want us to write in here. Oh, happy birthday, J-Lo. Thank you so much. I want us to just kind of add on to this Testicular Bill of Rights. Now, I'm going to add that if, in fact, the jab made Minaj's cousin's friend's balls blow up and he became impotent, that every man has to get the jab. Okay? Let their balls blow up. Since, like I said, some people haven't seen theirs. If they don't stand in the mirror, they're probably not aware that it's there. Okay? So do any of you have any suggestions? Do any of you think that, do you have any ideas that we can pass on to Representative Kendrick? Let me read some of the comments. Let's see here. Oh, this is nice, Nenny. You say they want to pass a heartbeat bill, but none of those repubs have hearts. Yeah, you got to have one, right? But we get it. We get it. The thing that is most distressing and disturbing is that there's no exception for incest or rape. And I've shared my rape story here, and I shudder to think that I would have had to carry a baby that wasn't conceived out of love, that was actually, a rapist actually impregnated me, and that I'd have to carry that child. It was not an easy decision for me to make. It was one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make. And I had to work hard on forgiving myself, because I wondered what kind of person would this little person be had I gone to full term. And, from time to time, I still wonder about that. But I did not want to bring a baby into the world what would I tell my child about their dad? First of all, I didn't know him, and that I was attacked at knife point. So um, those are. I think there's they're forcing women to leave Texas to go get these abortions. Um, I do recall reading a story in one of the online papers that there was a young girl, underage, who was raped by her grandfather and had gotten pregnant. And we all know that incest just doesn't work. And she would be forced to have her grandfather's baby. So what would that make the child? That would make her child his great granddaughter or great grandson. Oh, Jesus, these men. I'm not saying I don't like them, but for the most part, what do you say? J-Lo says that Malcolm Nance chats about the Saudi women and how they're treated. Yes, they are really under some very strict laws. I mean, I don't know that I could live like that. However, even in the Christian church, a lot of this has done a lot of damage, and to me has done a lot of damage. It's done a lot of damage to the way we think about God. It's done a lot of damage to how we interpret, how the Bible has been interpreted or taught. And from what I can see, the ones that the evangelicals, or as Ganga calls them, now Lady G calls them, the evil angels, if they are representative of Christianity, then, I'm not interested, because I don't feel that they are acting that they could stand behind Trump, calling him a man who was doing an imperfect man doing perfect things. And I don't know if it's perfect when you snatch babies out of the arms of their mothers and their fathers when they come across the border. I don't know if it's Christian for you to grab women by the pussy. I don't find that it's very Christian for you, every time you open that fetid hole beneath your nose, that you're lying. I don't think that it's a very Christian thing to fondle your daughter. I mean, those maybe that's what Christians do these days. I don't know, but that's not what I was taught they do. So now I have added my I'm getting a lot of birthday wishes. Thank you all. So do any of you have any suggestions? Oh, JLo says, add this. People without vaginas have no rights to regulate them. I like that. Yes. They don't have them, even though they have been called pussies from time to time. They don't. Betty White once said, everyone talks about people growing a pair of balls. They ought to grow a vagina because they can take a pounding. So, yeah, they don't have them, and they wouldn't. I don't know that they know what to do with them if they did. Sandra Nevin says, before Roe versus Wade, many of my girlfriends suffer so much. Now, I have to say that I didn't know many Black chicks that got abortions when I was coming up. I did know there were some of my white classmates who would spend the summer with Aunt Elizabeth somewhere out of state, and they would come back kind of jacked up, when they returned to school, just not quite the same. It was almost as if joy had been taken from them, that they just. Now, there was one classmate that I was told was forced to abort her child, and she just wasn't right at all. I mean, she really became quite aggressive. At one point, she held her family hostage with a gun. I mean, she had a lot of problems with that. I only found out later that was the reason for it. And it was really touching to hear Representative Cori Bush, Representative Barbara Lee, Representative Jamila, let me get her name right, Jalaya Paul. It was very, very touching for them to, and I thought courageous for them to come out and tell their stories about having had to abort. And Representative Barbara Lee's was especially touching because she said, in my day, there were no clinics that a woman could go to. So they resorted to the back alley abortions. I think some of the methods were using a clothes hanger to, just the thought of it, using a clothes hanger to pull the child out, or drinking things like hyssop and quinine to bring on massive bowel movements or something. It's just painful for me to think that any woman would resort to those means because she's carrying a baby she doesn't want. And so my heart goes out to anyone who has had a pregnancy, and they felt the best decision for them was to abort the child, because it's not an easy decision. Now, I'm not saying there aren't women who might use it as a form of birth control, because I've heard those stories as well. I don't know how they could do that. I don't know how you could go through that. I really don't. I really don't. The other factor would be that I don't know that there were a lot of Black people that would have the money, if there was a clinic, if they had the money to go to a clinic to get an abortion. And when I was growing up within our community, the families might not have been happy about their about their teenage daughter getting pregnant, because oftentimes parents feel like it's a reflection on them. Oh, you've been a floozy, you've been a bad girl, you went out and you got full, blah, blah, blah. It became a reflection on them. So those young girls suffered as well because their families rejected them or vilified them. Couldn't have been easy for them. But within our families, someone would take the baby and raise the child. It was often the grandmother who assumed the responsibility. But I personally did not know of anyone while they were in high school that went away, any Black girl that went away to have an abortion. Sandra Nevin says, one of my friends was forced to carry her rapist stepdad's baby. She went to a home unwed mothers and lost her mind. And that's what happened to my classmate. She has spent all of her life in a mental institution. I know for me, as I said, it was a very difficult decision for me to make, and I wasn't happy. There was a kind of sadness that stayed with me. And one day, shortly after I'd done that, I was visiting some friends, and one of the ladies that had a baby, and when her baby began to cry, I noticed that the front of my shirt began to get wet. And I realized that I was lactating. I mean, I'm thinking, I didn't spill my drink. Why is my blouse getting wet? And when I went to the bathroom, I realized that my breast had begun to, create milk for the child. So it was a long time. It was a very, very long time before I got over it. It was an even longer time before I forgave myself for having done such a thing, because it really did go against all that I had been taught. But the one thing that I thought about was that we were taught that babies were to be conceived in love. I mean, as a teenager, I wasn't a teenager. I was actually, I might have been in my 20s, late 20s when this happened. So I was a woman out working every day, making a way in my life, of creating a life, So it didn't happen for me when I was a teenager. I just feel for women that are placed in this position. Let's see what else. Sandra also says if heartbeat at 6 weeks, father should start paying child support. Well, that's one. That's one of the the requirements. That's part of the testicular bill. She says require DNA testing when a woman is 6 weeks and a day to determine the father of the child, who will immediately start paying child support. So yeah, I don't know about you, but I think I've had it with old white men having so much to say about what we ought to do with our bodies. And today, there were thousands of women who were out protesting in Texas and all across the land about these abortion bills. We don't know. I mean, how can you set up a law that turns regular people into vigilantes? They were even thinking that if an Uber driver or a Lyft driver were to drive someone to an abortion clinic, that they could be charged. But of course, Lyft and Uber got involved, and they have attorneys, so they're going to protect their drivers. They're not going to let this law affect their drivers and their ability to earn a living. They're just not going to do it. Electra says, is vasectomy on the bill? Because that needs to be done once they turn 13. Well, yes, she does say, she says, ban vasectomy procedures in Georgia with punitive measures that are listed in HB 481. So I have to pull up HB 481 to see what she's talking about, because if she's saying ban vasectomies, there has, let me see here. Let me pull this up. 481, Georgia. Oh, yes, it passed the Senate. It's, let's see what it says. There has to be something within this bill for her to say that. Let's see. It says, it goes on to talk about the founding of America. It goes on to say that Planned Parenthood and Roe v. Wade didn't exist then. They're saying there are two classes of persons, natural and artificial. Natural means any human being, including an unborn child. Corporations are artificial persons, even though that's what some of the Republicans are calling corporations. They're calling them people. Yeah, right. Unless otherwise provided by law, a natural person, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to find what she's talking about, because they have a lot of strikeouts in it too. It says abortion means the act of using, prescribing, or administering any instrument, substance, device, or other means with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy, with knowledge that termination will, with reasonable likelihood, cause the death of an unborn child, provided, however, that any such act shall be considered an abortion if the act is performed with the purpose of removing a dead unborn child caused by spontaneous abortion, or removing an ectopic pregnancy. Detectable heartbeat means embryos or fetal cardiac activity, or the steady and repetitive rhythmic contraction of the heart within the gestational sac. Now, I didn't know after 6 weeks that I was even pregnant. I didn't know that. I don't know, it's because I had blocked out the whole thing that had happened to me so well. I wasn't aware that I was pregnant. And I actually didn't realize I was pregnant until I had just about, when my periods were coming, they were light, and I didn't think anything of it. But in the third month, it didn't come at all. And I thought there was something else wrong with me. Pregnancy never entered my mind. Sandra says it's easy to reverse a vasectomy. A young man has out of wedlock babies, either pay child support or snip snip. I think we ought to make vasectomies or actually castration part of our bill. If somebody rapes you, they should not get a chance to do it again. They should be castrated. And they say no abortion is authorized or shall be performed by an unborn child has been determined. That's a strikeout. So this is kind of long, and I probably should have done this before I got you on the line. But I'm proud that there are women. Women, I believe, are going to be the ones that change the whole entire scenario, not just in the United States, but in the world. Do you all remember all those women who protested after Donald Trump became president? Do you remember seeing hundreds of thousands of women across the United States and across Europe who were protesting because of that comment he made about grabbing women by the genitals? And Matt Gaetz, somebody, I don't know who said that, but Matt Gaetz he should maybe be considered for a snip. They have all these subsections. I want to see, then this thing keeps bouncing around. It's kind of difficult to read on the phone. And so I'm going to find out what she means that ban all vasectomies. It may mean with punitive measures that are listed in HB 481. I'll have to find out. Maybe I'll have her come on and have her explain that. But I think I'm just really over men deciding what women can do with their bodies. And putting things in place like a woman who's married to a man can't be raped because she's his wife. You know, if I'm telling you no, I don't care if I'm your wife or not. If I'm telling you no, that means no. That means no. And if you just decide you're going to do it because you want to do it, then that says to me that you have raped me. Now, she says some people are big mad, but guess what? She tweeted Monday, I have the support of my constituents and they are what matters. And as anticipated, the proposed legislation has caused a stir online, with Kendrick noting, I have had more interviews today about my Testicular Bill of Rights than interviews I've had in the last full term I have served. Mission accomplished, to keep the conversation going about no to HB 481. Now, they actually put a vote forth on that Thursday night. It was put forth by a guy named Josh Bonner, who's a Republican from Fayetteville, and it would ban any abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detectable, usually about 6 weeks into the pregnancy. The cutoff, however, can sometimes be before a woman even realizes she's pregnant. Georgia's current law allows for abortions up to 20 weeks. So they don't even, I don't think they even know what they're talking about. Pro-life supporters, however, applauded the passage. Of course they did. Of course they did, and said it was long overdue. And Brian Kemp says he supports the legislation. Of course he does. Of course he does. Because he's an idiot. He's a Trump bootlicker. He gets down and licks the poo of 45 shoes and then turns around and allows them to kick him right in the teeth. You know, he's I think he might be up for he might be running again. And it is my sincere hope that if he is running again for governor, that somebody who is dynamic comes through and challenges him. because he needs to be out of office where he can go somewhere and drink his alcohol in peace. Let's see, Sandra, you're really chatted. Hi, Keisha. Keisha says she thought about castration, but with the way the justice system is towards people of color, I have second thoughts. Yeah, that might be something we have to think about, because there's so many who think, I think there was I saw a news story where a policeman thought that black men who had a bunch of baby mamas ought to be castrated. Somewhere in the South, he really felt that if they weren't, and I guess his feelings, they're not going to pay child support and they're out here committing crimes and they don't need, this junk don't need to work. Sandra asked question, at 6 weeks, the group of cells can't survive outside the womb. Stacy is not running, Electra, as far as I know. She hasn't really said anything about what her future plans are going to be. But here's my theory. I think that the reason 45 or the former guy felt comfortable calling up Raffensperger and Kemp and asking them, or first telling them that they had a voter fraud problem. We got a real big problem, and I think he felt comfortable asking them to look for those votes because he knew Brian Kemp had cheated. He said, I supported him and I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry I did it. After they wouldn't help him cheat. So that says to me that he knew, that we all knew that Brian Kemp cheated Stacey out of that governorship. And he can lie about it. He has no integrity. How are you going to be? You could have stepped down as Secretary of State, the person who oversees the elections. He could have stepped down and showed some integrity, but he didn't do it. Plus, Georgia is constantly purging voter rolls. And some of those names that are purged are mistakenly purged or shouldn't be purged. So, he cheated, and now he's had his 4 years, and it's time for his ass to go. Nenny says, how about if a man is proven to be the father of a child, either he pays child support or gets castrated? Yeah, that's the choice. You pay, or we give you this, or we, take your balls. Yeah. That's if you don't pay your child support, you get castrated. Yeah. I mean, like Keisha says, I might have to think about that, but let me just tell you a story that I know about. Someone I know was in jail because they hadn't paid child support. Now, his relatives were talking to me about it, and I asked them, because they were angry that he'd been put in jail, and like, how's he going to pay child support if he's in jail? So I asked, how much are his arrears? They said 60 grand. I said, well, his ass wasn't paying child support to begin with. So, hey, it ain't gonna make no difference if he's in jail. They don't understand that child support isn't about you coming by with a box of diapers and a can of formula when you can. Child support has to be paid according to the schedule that's set out by the court. And a lot of my brothers just don't seem to get that part of it. And there are also Black women who won't put a Black man in the system. They will not go after them for child support because they don't want their names to be put in the system and possibly damage their lives. I don't get it. Let's see. Let's read some of these comments. Let's see. That one we already, let's see. We've talked about that one. Let's go up and see. There's also, that's why Sandra says that's why white males refuse to get vaccinated, keep blood and sperm pure. What makes them think their blood and sperm is pure in the first place? I mean, really? Some of those men have not, as I said, they're too old. Well, I don't know. Mick Jagger's in his 70s, and he's just had a baby with his latest wife. I think she's his wife or his girlfriend. So I guess you can get to men at a certain age that sperm is still potent. I got to think about that. But we do know that it's easy to reverse vasectomies. So we need to do, this is what Sue Ann Nevin says. It's easy to reverse a vasectomy. Young men has out of wedlock babies, either pay child support or snip. Yeah, I think that maybe that might be one solution. I'm just wondering though. I didn't know that. I don't know. I thought when men got to be a certain age that maybe their seed lost its vim and vigor. You know, that it did, that they weren't spitting out anything that. But I don't know about that. I really don't. I'm just kind of in my head right now, thinking about that. So that was the Testicular Bill of Rights as brought forth by Dar'Shun Kendrick. And I had some of the tweets that were written to her. They were very angry tweets. There were men who said, "I'm glad that I'm not in your district. I would be embarrassed to have you represent me." I mean, we expect them to say those kinds of things. We expect men to come off stupid. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You can't have, well, we can't get birth control to my knowledge, not through insurance. I don't know. Because I stopped taking birth control many years ago after I developed a cyst or a lump or something. It's only about the size of a pea. But after I developed that cyst, I didn't take birth control pills anymore. And that thing hasn't grown any larger than a pea. So it hasn't bothered me at all. And it's been 1,000 years. So I don't know, but I know that if your employer doesn't want to give you that option on your health insurance, that they don't have to, thanks to Hobby Lobby, who refused to insure any woman that would use their insurance for birth control or who would use it to get an abortion. Because God doesn't like that, because they're the good Christian people. Same ones that caused January 6th to go down. I wonder how many of them believe they're doing the work of God. I can't. I simply can't. Electrostorm says potent, but the older the sperm, the more likely. Let me put you up here, girl. Let's show your comment. Oh, here it is. I'm all over the place. Where'd you go? Okay, here you are. I think this is you. Potent, but the older the sperm, the more likely medical problems. You mean the child would have medical problems? Yeah, I would think so, because I would just think that their sperm just isn't even as healthy as it once was. You're old. I think that men ought to be relegated to using Miss Palm and her 5 daughters. Do that. Yeah, satisfy yourself that way. Yeah, and some of the people are saying that the jab somehow twists their DNA. I mean, are we in information overload or what? I think there's so much false information, so much conspiracy information, so much valid information. I think that people are just on overload. We don't know. We're on information overload. And I've heard people say that it messes with their DNA, that we're getting microchip, you know, uh, and those chips allow the government to know where we are. We have cell phones. They know where your ass is anyway. They don't have to put a chip in you. These little devices that we can't live without track us everywhere we go, whether you have the tracker on or not. So they don't have to put a chip in somebody's body. Um, let's see what you're saying. I'm going to show this. This has to do with a minus zero birth rate. They are ready to enslave the whole world and change those numbers, but with all their evil and hatred, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something. Yeah, it has to do, I think, with, and I think the last census might have proved that, because in the last census, it showed the growth of Black, Latino, Hispanic, and Asian communities, and they had surpassed white communities. So I think that they're concerned about being outnumbered and no longer being the authoritarians, no longer being the ones that make the rules, no longer being the supreme beings. You know, they're concerned that there's this thing about replacement theory. Yeah, you're being replaced, but not. It's if you listen to some of the comments that are made by the lieutenant governor of Texas and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham and that whole crew, they're talking about this thing called replacement theory. Well, all I have to say is I do believe in the Bible that they claim to read. I don't know where the scripture is, but it does say that the last, I can look that up though, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So if that's a biblical thing, then maybe time's up, kids. Maybe it's time for you to become lesser. I don't know. I know that there are Gen Xers that don't want to have baby. You know, there are women who don't, and young men who don't want to have children. They don't want to have children, and they have valid reasons for not wanting to have children. What kind of world are they going to bring them in? You know, what with the air messed up, the water messed up, the soil toxic. I don't know that I blame anyone if they choose not to have a baby. Um, oh yeah, it is in the Bible, Keisha. I think maybe I'll try to pull up the exact scripture. That's fast enough. First shall be, okay, here it is. It's in Matthew 20, verse 16. It says, so the last shall be first, for many be called, but few chosen. Huh. I have to read the whole thing. But it is very clear that, I mean, come on, you've had a good run. Let somebody else screw it up if they're going to do it. I had a conversation with a young lad today, and he was saying that he didn't want to have children because he doesn't like the world as it is now. Why would he bring a child into the world? I have a cousin who was a social worker who saw how an unwanted child could possibly be heinously mistreated or even killed, you know? So you mean to tell me you would rather force somebody to have a baby they don't want? To have them have, and especially with Black and brown children, they get in the system and some of them never come out. They're never adopted. They're bounced from foster home to foster home. They never, they're just ruined. I mean, they have a lot of issues. Let's see what this Jaconda says. It would be better if they changed the type of people they are and more loving and human. That would change, but since they don't change, their problem won't change. Well, they don't see it as a problem. They don't see this as being a problem. There are men who actually I'm going to find another scripture that talks about how subservient a woman is supposed to be. She's supposed to submit to her husband. So they use that as an excuse to abuse a woman. They use that scripture to say that she has no say. That whatever the man says goes. I don't. Oh, this eyelashes. Look at this. I don't know. I had a problem putting this girl on, and she looks like it too. Look, shit. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I had an issue getting it on because it was trying to get. I almost put it up here. It's like I was getting weary with it. But anyway, there are women who are victimized. They're victimized by their husbands, and some of them use that particular scripture. I think it's in 1 Timothy, maybe 2 Timothy, where they say that a woman is submit to her. That doesn't mean that you get a chance to abuse her. That doesn't mean you get a chance to rape her. That doesn't. That. So, Nanny says, Jace, I recently told my cousin the same thing. Are you referring to Jaconda's comment about people? We are really it just feels like the world is in a very toxic state. It just feels as if there's so much anger and vitriol. We have vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers, or the other way around. We have racial thing. We have blacks against whites, and whites, the white supremacists who want to kill everybody that isn't white because they somehow think that this land is theirs. And if they allow all of these immigrants to come in here, then it won't, we won't have American values, and the cultures will be somehow, the culture of America will somehow be poisoned or toxic. It wasn't your land to begin with. There were people living here. You took it by force. So the land is not just for white people. And yours isn't the greatest culture. I mean, come on. There's beauty in every culture. And if I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but there's beauty in every culture. We are part of a mosaic. This nation is great because of the work of immigrants. Now it's great because of the work that immigrants have put in. It's great because of what slaves have contributed to this nation. It wasn't all about white folks, white men in particular. It really bugs me. So there's a lot of anger. A lot of anger. I mean, I'm concerned about what will happen with these abortion laws within these states. I honestly was not aware that Kemp had passed that and signed that bill into law here. I was unaware of that. Unaware of that. And I'm concerned about what the Supreme Court is going to do. If they just went to sleep on the Texas one, where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? So we're going to have to do whatever we have to do. We're going to have to vote on the local level as well as on the national level. We have to turn up and turn out because this has to do with our bodies, our rights. as a woman. Let's see what else we have here. Keisha says, Ninny Isaacs, I used to have the same thoughts 20 years ago or more. If I were a child bearing age today, I'd feel the same way, especially today. I definitely understand. I mean, I get it. These young women want to go out and they want to pursue their careers and live their lives, and they're not interested in having children right away. And the same goes for many young men. They're not interested in having children right away, and I get it. I get it. It's more than a notion. I mean, you might think they're cute when the children are cute when they're babies, but shit, they grow up to be us. They grow up. Let's see. What are you? Let me show these. I got to show the child. I lean into the screen because I got to get my eyes. I'm gonna have some surgery done on my eyes next month. So that's 180-degree opposite of nature. Males don't rule in nature. They defend and protect the female and her offspring in nature. The female is the head of the species. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. The man is supposed to be the provider and the protector, isn't he? Not many of them are getting into that role. Let's see, local elections. Yes, local elections are very important. Get out and become an informed voter. Don't just get out and vote about on things or matters, because a lot of times when you go to vote on local elections, they have different things in there you may be unaware of. But try your best to be an informed voter. The local, some of the reasons we're having these issues is because the states are considered to be sovereign. I guess the states can governors and the state lawmakers can legislate anything they want to, including what happens to our bodies. I don't even think within these heartbeat bills it says anything about the danger to a child or to a mother. If their lives are compromised, none of these things gets thought out. They don't get considered, and it really does. It's sad to me. It's just sad to me. So, ladies, we're gonna have to get out and let it be known that we are not happy about these laws. We're not happy with the Supreme Court. Of course, a lot of the Alito and Thomas and the handmaid got out. They're trying to say that they're not a bunch of political hacks. Well, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. It's amazing to me how a couple of y'all can get appointed to the bench and your astronomical debt just goes away. That's a whole nother conversation. So yes, you are political hacks, Amy Comey Barrett. You shouldn't have even been in on a conversation about abortions, women's rights. You shouldn't have. You should have recused or just sat this one out, because your writings, everything about you talks about how you feel. Sit your ass down. And we're going to keep leaning on the Supreme Court. And I'm hoping that the justice that is sort of teasing about, he's saying he's not going anywhere. He's sort of teasing about retiring. He's been so quiet. It's like I don't even know the man's name, but perhaps he should leave, and so we can get somebody else on the bench. Do you believe in lifetime appointments? I really don't. I don't think anybody should get a gig for a lifetime. I really don't. I don't think any of these appointments to federal judges should be a lifetime appointment. So anyway, that's why we are gathered here today. We were gathered here today to talk about the Testicular Bill of Rights and how we would add what we would add to it. I still say give them the jab, baby doll, let their balls blow up and let them explode. Yeah. Because I've made up my mind that I won't ever allow anyone to hurt me like I was hurt those years ago. I won't ever, it won't, no. And if I even feel as if someone is coming on me to hurt me, they better have their affairs in order. Because at that point, I'll have to kill you. Let's see. Some more comments. The last two evils will have to be defeated, racism and sexism. Read the Gnostic scriptures. I do. I like the Gnostic scriptures. It comes full circle now. Provider and protector is a supreme feminine trait. That's why men hate it. I mean, how can you call someone who can squeeze, who can carry a child and squeeze out a 10-pound baby a week sex with a weaker sex? That's not so. And I think in some cultures, the women are the rulers. They are the wise ones. And some African cultures, there may be a king, but I don't know that the king is all that. I don't know. I have to do some more research on that. But I know in some of the in some of the tribes, the women are the leaders. Kisha, what I increase the size of my. What gets me is that the very ones who are trying to run everything have one foot in the park. Yeah. And try to make our lives a misery. They really are. I mean, your ass is on a banana peel. I got to figure out how to reduce this screen size. I don't know what I just did, but I want it smaller. I might have to go out and come back in. I don't know. Let's see. Just my wishful thinking that I drink beer. Let's see. Just my wishful thinking that I drink beer would be dead with. Oh, no. Nobody. We're not going to even call that out, okay? Yeah, I did. Oh, hey, Desiree. Yeah, I did hear about that. But but he's still alive. That's you're funny. I told a friend of mine that. I said, that he came down with the ninja virus. She said, how bad is it? Ooh. If only he knew how we felt about him. If only he knew that we really, 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 really want him to. Let me do some changes on this thing. I'm going to have to escape this. If he only knew how we felt about him. If he only knew. Oh, we read that one. Let's go down here. I'm trying to get my screen back to the size it was where I could actually, let's see, is this what I do in the Zoom? Girl, it's not, you should know how to work your equipment, and I'm not real good at it right now. There's something about this mouse pad, that you can pull in and pull out, and it'll increase the size of the screen. And then if you do, and I do it accidentally all the time. I don't know why that happens, but I do it all the time. Let's see. I'm trying to get over here and scroll down to let me see something. There just has to be a way. Do y'all mind if I'm just going to leave the studio if I can for 1 minute and pop back in? Just give me a Thank y'all for hanging in there with me. I had to go out and come back in all together. Let's see. Um, so what do you think women can do? We can protest. We can. I know a lot of women are running for office. We can vote women in who really. I don't know. I think we need to vote women in who have actually had some life experience, who can speak on some things, like Representative Bass and Representative uh, Jayapal and Representative Bush. All of these women who've had experience with what women actually deal with. We're gonna, maybe some of you all could consider running in your local states or your local city, get on the city council or something. It's something to think about, because I don't know. I'm just nervous about what will happen. And did you hear what Susan Collins said when she gave that long speech about why she was voting for Kavanaugh, and how she went on talking about she didn't think he would do anything with Roe v. Wade? She must feel like an asshole now, and if she doesn't, she should. She really should, because you see what the shadow court has done. And I don't even think it was signed. It was something like a one-pager without signatures. So, ladies, we got work to do. We got work to do. We have work to do. Now, you have been with me here for about an hour and 10 minutes. Remember the last time we did the oracle before we got off, the word was trust. And I heard trust all through this week. Did you guys? I heard trust. And when I was talking about trust, I said that trust goes hand in hand to me with faith and hope. Faith is heavenly currency. That's our heavenly currency. Hope drives our faith, and trust means that we actually trust the unseen. Because heck, you don't even know if the next step you're going to take, you're going to trip. You don't even know that. So let's see what we have to look forward to this week. But I know I heard Marianne on Revealing Light speak in her reading. She spoke of trust. Oh, Patience fell out. Patience. Well, since we're in this different kind of Mercury retrograde, I hope you all caught Adrian, Johnny, Lauren, and Shining Hawk last night on the horoscopes. Those are always fun. They have so much fun. And Patience, they were discussing how this retrograde in Libra, I think, is a little different than others. It's pretty. So I have found that I must be patient in this one, because yesterday I got up and I was aggravated. You know how you can get up sometimes, or you can just get up, you feel pretty good, and then you just get aggravated? Well, I was so aggravated that I left the house without taking my credit and debit cards. So imagine how embarrassed I was when it was time for me to pay for something, and I did not have the cards to do so. So that also says to me, be patient with ourselves. And that by being patient with ourselves, we may actually be patient with others. Because the real deal is, I think we're all doing the best we can right now. We might all be suffering a bit of PTSD. Last year was tough on everyone. Some of us probably handled it better than others, but it's been difficult, and I think it's almost, you know how you have that retrograde, when you're coming out of retrograde, you have that kind of drag, or that kind of hangover from Mercury going direct again. You have that kind of, that kind of drag. Yeah. Well, I think that's what has happened in light of what's going on with the this virus and people being very, very concerned about employment and about money. And so it requires patience. It requires that we be patient with ourselves and with others. Because I really would like to think that most of us are doing the very best we can. We're doing the very best we can to remain positive and upbeat, hopeful about things to come, that we understand. I mean, we have our moments. If you're feeling a certain way, you feel that way. I would just encourage you not to stay there. If you're pissed, be pissed. Go rip off a bunch of cuss words, and then center yourself. Woosah, come back. If you have to cry, cry. I tell you all the time, I cry. I cry. Sometimes that's just the only way I can express in my meditation or express my prayer is through tears, because I firmly believe that tears are prayers. I know they are, because tears come when you simply don't know what to say or what to do. So we have to be patient this week, but with our children, with our partners, with our co-workers, with ourselves mostly. Yeah. So I hope you had fun tonight. I did. I'm glad that you came on to hear Representative Kendrick's proposed legislation. I'm going to see if I can get her to come on. Oh, and starting next week, I am going to have guests come back on with me. Yeah. Finally got that piece of it worked out. And sometimes when I don't come on, it's because I just feel that I have to. I'm just busy, either doing something, or I'm just wondering what I'm going to talk to you about, because I don't jump on every story. I don't jump on. I'm still. I can get up and I can deliver a song. Sometimes just having conversations and expressing myself in this manner, without being face to face with any of you, but in this manner, I get tripped up sometimes, and I wonder what I'm going to talk to you about. I mean, even though I've gone on some channels, there are masters, there are people who can really latch onto a thought and they can just go with it, and it's entertaining, it's funny, and it holds you there. I'm working on my delivery. Working on my delivery, and what I actually want what I want my videos to, what I want to express. And I think I may actually be moving more towards more spiritual things, because that seems to be where I've been most focused. So that perhaps by sharing what I'm learning and by sharing my journey, that it may be beneficial, or it may help someone else. I mean, I firmly believe in prayer, but I more than just asking God or the Creator or whatever you call the entity that is bigger than all of us. I mean, let's face it, man is a virus. We don't create anything but habit. We haven't created anything of beauty on this earth, really. When you go out in nature and see just the beauty of it, I don't think we had much to do with that. We didn't have anything to do with that. So whatever you call I don't get into semantics. I call the Spirit the Holy Spirit. because I want to make sure that I'm connecting with something good and wonderful and loving and kind, compassionate, merciful. And because the breath of life, that precious breath of life that we have, the way that's breathing in God, that's breathing in the good and pushing out things that we don't need, which nourishes nature, nourishes the trees, nourishes the bushes, it nourishes the plants. We push out carbon dioxide, and that nourishes the earth, the creation. So that's how I refer. I hear others say spirit, because we do have guardian angels and we do have spirit guide. I believe that. I believe that we have uh, angels. I believe in angels and work with them. I like having them around. I love having them around. And I know there have been times when I've almost hurt myself, that I could actually feel the physical presence of something keeping me from falling and hurting myself. It happened to me one time when I was in the shower and I was just about to slip and fall, and I would have fallen right into where the tap is. I would have fallen right into that. And I felt something physically pull me up to keep me from falling. So it's great to have angels around, and it's great to give them assignments, because they're waiting on us to give them something to do. I don't pray to angels because they praise God. They don't want any glory to be taken away from God. We can ask for their presence. And it doesn't hurt to say thank you. It never hurts to say thank you. But I don't pray to the angels. I just request their presence and thank them for being around. So I'm thinking I may go more into that and more into music, and because I'm being just called to get back to gig again, to get back out and sing some more, get my band together and get out there and do it, because that is what I love. That is what I am great at. I'm fun to watch, So I'm working on those things. I want to share my journey, my walk with you all, the ones that come on every time I put a notification out. All of you, the very same ones that just come and watch me ramble and go through my stuff. And I just love it. It is precious to me. And I want you all to know that I am genuine in my prayers for you all. I really am. I thank God for all of you. And sometimes, I feel like I smell like somebody's food. I don't know. It smells kind of strange in here. I'm not cooking. I feel that I know you all, even though I don't know you. I feel close to you. So if any of you you can always reach me at jazzyjace@gmail.com. If any of you have a specific prayer request, because I believe we should be specific in prayers. So if you have something specifically that you want me to pray, I will touch and agree with you, because concentrated prayer works. But what works better is that we have to, when we pray, we have to believe that we've received it, that it's already done, and then we walk away with thanksgiving and praise. We don't continue to ask and beg and ask. We believe that we receive. And then you posture yourself to be patient, because sometimes you have to be prepared for the thing that you've asked for. If there are aches and pains in your body, we have to proclaim that we are healed and that we are commanding that thing that is causing us dis-ease to leave. You don't run towards victory. You come from, you position yourself as being victorious, because we have that kind of power if we just have to use it. You position yourself from a place of victory and take ownership of, use the power that is within all of us. It abides within all of us. And it takes work. It takes, it takes prayer, it takes meditation. It takes work. You have to do the work. It doesn't come automatically, I don't think. Maybe some people are born with the ability. I work at it. I work at it. So those are some ideas. There are times when I have a light bulb moment and I feel like I want to come on and chat with you. And then once I schedule the thing, I think, what am I going to talk about again? What was on my mind? Yeah. So I'm going to put my email address here, and I will, if you have anything specific you want me to pray about or pray with you, I will absolutely do it. I don't have an issue. I pray all the time. I'm always praying. It's part of what I do, part of my gig here on the planet, to be an intercessor. And it wasn't something that I always wanted to do, I'll tell you that. I just kind of boom, fell into it. It wasn't, I didn't make a conscious choice, in other words. I've just called to do that. Yeah, they're brain farts. Exactly, Keisha. Well, yeah, brain farts. And the justice I was thinking about was Justice Sotomayor. It's like, how can I forget her? I could see her face. That was a brain fart. Just Kagan and Sotomayor. They're speaking out about some of the things that are happening on the bench, and I'm happy that they are, So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I love having you here. Remember that our card for the week, the Oracle card for the week, is patience. I did promise you that the next time I was going to do some readings, and I actually saw somebody that I follow. He has a great idea where he uses people in the chat to ask him. He reads for them. I've seen it on a couple of channels. So perhaps the next time when we come on, you can ask me questions and I'll pull out my cards and give you a reading. How does that sound? Not tonight, though, because I'm actually thinking about going across the street and getting a bottle of wine. But don't forget, next Saturday is my birthday. I'd love to have you all come and join me, and we'll just have a party time. We'll just party. It'll be loosey-goosey. I don't even know if I have anything like planned. I'll have an outline, but it'll just be more about celebration of life. Because somebody didn't make it today. So that in and of itself is miraculous, and it's worth celebrating. So y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all, each and every one of you. I love you all. See you next Saturday. Bye-bye.